Okay, so in the first video when I showed you the different tools, I showed you about the glass scorer and the glass breaker. So again, so I cut this piece of yellow, and if I wanted to make like little squares, I can do that. I can just cut and make a little score mark, and then a score mark, and a score mark, and then I can grab my breakers, my glass breakers here. Okay, and make like little squares. So what I'm going to do is for my design here, I have squares, so maybe I'll use this yellow that I have. And again, a little tiny dab of glue. I just want to kind of tack that glue, those pieces down. So I'm just kind of laying this glue right on top. I mean these pieces right on top. And then I have these two little guys here that I'll use. Okay. So that's how you're going to be laying in your pieces. Okay. You're just going to be gluing them on top of your glass. Okay. And then another tool type of glass that I want to show you is glass called, there are stringers and there are noodles. So stringers come in like a tube, like this. So it says red opal stringer. So there's a whole box of stringers. You really only need one stringer at a time because it's a very long, like a really just long piece of glass. It's just a really long piece of glass. And what you can just do is you can use your thing here and you can just kind of measure where you want it and you can just break it. Be very careful, make sure you break away from you. Okay, and if I want to have all these things be the same, this glass is very, very, very delicate. It's like spaghetti almost. But you're going to break away from you. Okay, break away from you. Away from you. Okay. So you guys can see there's little pieces here that kind of come off. Okay, but I broke all those pieces to use. And again, I'm going to get a little bit of my Weld Bond. Just going to make a little tiny dab. Okay, where my stringer is going to go. And I can just place it. It's going to be glued with that little bit of Weld Bond. Okay, again, not a lot, just a little bit to just kind of keep it in place. This one needs a little bit more. Okay. All right, so that is those are my stringers. And then noodles are a little slightly different. They're here, and these kind of look a little thicker. These you're going to need to cut with the nipper. So you can see here it's like much thicker than a stringer. So you see the stringer is thin and this is thick. So these you're going to have to cut with the nippers. So maybe I'll put like a little piece of this on top of each of these pieces. So I'm going to use my nippers. And just kind of, you know what, actually I'm going to cut them not with my nippers, with my scorer. I'll just pull this aside. Just going to cut it with my scorer. and my breakers. Okay, it cuts really, really easily. Okay, you just have that little line in there to the little score line to kind of help us. That's perfect. So now I'm going to take a little bit of Weld Bond, bring my piece back over here. And I put a little dab of glue in the middle of each of these. And then I can go in and put these right in the middle. Make sure I center them up. Make them even. Okay. So I have my stringers. Okay, I have my stringers on there. Maybe I want to have 2 layers of stringers, which I could do. So if I wanted to go over and do like another stringer next to these pieces, I could do that. So maybe I want to do something like this. And again, just going to measure, break away, self. Okay, 1 stringer, break away. There we go. Okay. So these will be 2 separate little lines, I think. So I like that design a little bit better. Then we go down here and measure these. Cut, break away from myself. Break away, kind of toward the table, so you're not doing it toward anybody else either. Okay, a little bit of glue. And really the amount of glue, it really should be just a little tiny bit because you don't want it to leave a residue or a trail on your thing. So I just have like a little tiny tack of glue for my piece. 2. There we go. Okay, so then I have my piece here. So I've got my orange in between all my pieces. So I have my little orange noodles on there. I have my stringers and my cut glass. Now I think I'm going to go and add some Frit. Okay, one of the last few things we're going to use is something called Frit. So this is Frit right here, and what it is like crushed little pieces of glass. Okay, and same thing here. This is white Frit. Okay, and you can kind of think of it as like glitter, like glass glitter a little bit almost. So I'm going to add some Frit around some areas here. So I'm going to get a little bit of glue. Not a lot, again, but for the Frit, you want to make sure that it's going to stay down. So maybe I'm going to have like a line of Frit kind of going through the middle of my piece. with white. Okay, so you're going to open the jar. Okay, you can take a little spoon and you're just going to sprinkle the frit on. So this should be the last thing that you do, because some of this frit's going to be loose, and so you don't want it to be moving around too much. So it's okay if you kind of get the glue and get most of it glued down, but again, some of it might not be. So if you want this to be, this should be the last thing that you do for your piece, is add the frit. So again, just a little spoon and just do a little at a time, because it's really, you don't want to have to go and empty it back in the jar. So you want to do a little tiny bit at a time, and kind of take your Q-tip and just kind of like smush the stuff back if you need to, because wherever this glass goes, this is where it's going to be. So, you know, I'm going to have a little bit of frit there. Maybe now I'm going to switch it up and maybe I'll use some of that red frit. Okay, maybe I'll do some red frit around these pieces here. Maybe down here. So here's my cherry red. And when you're doing this frit, you should be using a mask. And well, since we're all kind of wearing masks, you should be good. Try and be very controlled with how I'm putting my frit down. And again, this should be the last thing you do. For your piece. Okay. And then if I need to, I can use my Q-tip to kind of smush around and organize. Don't use your finger, please, because again, this is glass. You know, it might look like it's like glittery, but it is glass. So please, and don't blow on it to get it off somewhere, because again, it's glass. So you want to be kind of treating this very delicately. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to kind of leave that like that. So I have, when all this melts together, I do have some areas that are clear. I have some nice transparent glass. I have my stringers. I had some noodles in there. I used some frit. Okay. And now this piece is ready to be fired, I'm going to say. Remember, we're firing all of our pieces to a tack fuse. So the tack fuse is, I'm going to still see this texture of like all these pieces on top. It's not going to be just one flat amount. It's going to have texture to it. And then the glass is going to melt around these hangers and we'll be able to hang it up. Be sure to take a picture of your glass fused piece before putting it into fire, just in case it changes the way you kind of imagined it to be. So you're going to take a picture of this and submit it to the glass fused piece submission. And then once we have all these done, we'll fire them. And so I would say to have your piece like on the thumbnail sketch that you did from your handout. So just like I did, I kind of cut my thumbnail sketch out, and then I want you to write your name on the side here so that I know whose is whose. So like I'll put my name Butler. Okay, and then you're going to put these, we'll have the cart ready so that when I put them in the kiln, I'll know whose is whose. And again, please make sure you take a picture of it and submit it to Canvas before it's fired, because like with these, you can't really write your name on it. So to be able to have an identifier with the name on the paper would really help. Okay, and that's it.